We are currently in an unprecedented time with the dangerous overlap of two global pandemics. The first being the global pandemic of gendered violence against women, and the second, of course, being the new and emerging crisis of COVID-19. These two overlapping global pandemics are putting numerous women and children in grave danger, who are ultimately now isolated with their abusers. Hi, I'm Penny Jane Burke. I'm Global Innovation Chair of Equity at the University of Newcastle, and I've spent the last 2 decades of my life dedicated to advocating for women's access to higher education and more generally for building social justice in and through higher education. This life project emerged from my own personal experiences of surviving domestic violence, of living in women's aid refuges over an extended period of time, of fighting for my life and for the life of my baby, and eventually, very fortunately, having the opportunity to access higher education. These experiences together completely transformed my life. And what I learned was that, importantly, being a survivor of domestic violence was not my fault, was not my shame, was not my guilt, but was part of this wider global pandemic of gendered violence against women. Understanding the size and scale of this issue is paramount to the kinds of strategies countries develop to redress it. Treating it only at the point of crisis and focusing only on the individual victim rather than on wider social issues tends to exacerbate a sense of guilt and shame for individual victim survivors. And this is because this approach conceals the massive problem gendered violence is, and it denies the imperative to, for example, create greater gender equality in our societies. Ultimately, it puts more women and children at risk. Research shows, for example, that countries with greater gender equality have lower rates of gendered violence. In Australia, 25% of women experience or will experience violence at the hands of an intimate partner. This statistic increases in those countries with lower rates of gender equality, and in some countries, the statistic is as many as 80% of women who will experience violence at the hands of an intimate partner. As I said, and as we all know, we're currently facing an unprecedented global pandemic of COVID-19. And it is really important that we all practice the advice of experts, including physical and social distancing, staying at home, and forms of self-isolation. Yet this exacerbates the vulnerabilities for many women and children in the context of the global pandemic of gendered violence. There are a number of key agencies who are committed to providing ongoing support, and these agencies require the absolute support of government. It is crucial that women and children facing these terrorizing situations are able to sustain a sense of hope, a sense of connection, and, of course, to receive the support they need in a timely manner. Indeed, this is often a matter of life and death. As I already said, I myself am a survivor of domestic violence, and this is more than just an experience for me. It is part of who I am. Without those experiences, I would not be the woman that I am today. I was also a prisoner of the house for an extended period of time, so I know well what it means to be in isolation with your abuser. My situation became increasingly extreme until I had to find a way to escape, to save the life of my child and also my own life. I became really desperate though, as I risked exposing my plan to escape by calling the police on a number of occasions. Unfortunately, at that time, which was just more than 30 years ago, the police were poorly educated about domestic violence, and I did not receive the help that I needed. This put my baby and me in even graver danger. Finally, though, I was able to flee with the help of an understanding senior police officer who did everything possible to protect us and got us to the safety of a women's aid refuge. I am forever grateful for his help. He literally saved our lives. So it's imperative that we continue to develop strategies for greater gender equality, as I've said, which includes greater representation of women and also of gendered violence itself at the highest levels of policy making. This ongoing commitment must not stop. However, this must also be complemented by a strong national commitment to investing in a range of high-quality services, including a legal system that's attuned to the power dynamics of gendered violence, a well-educated police force and also legal force who understands the complex issues, refuges for women and children in crisis, legal aid, and a strong social welfare system that can support women and children to survive and thrive the trauma of domestic and family violence. Key workers and agencies are working tirelessly to combat gendered violence right now and urgently need our support in this most stressful of times. And so please help this cause if you have any position of influence or capacity to do so. Finally, I'd like to end this on a personal message to any woman currently caught up in this global pandemic. Please know it is not your shame. It is not your fault. Don't feel guilty. You are a survivor. You need to reach out if you possibly can and get the support you have every right to receive. Stay safe. Thank you.